So Isabel, what you want to do is take your little stick there and clean up all this excess. Just grab a piece of scrap and you can use it as like a pallet. And we also, did you put goo on this?
Yes.
No, on the transom.
I did a little bit of a glob, but.
So we're going to want to lay that off. You're going to want to put a pretty good. Hey, William. You want to double, since I have to do this talkie, double check this with her. So we got a goo. We got to do a good bit of goo right here on that.
Yeah.
And stick it in there, and then you can ice. Oh, they're gone. I'll screw it in. But then you want to go harvest whatever you can for clamps, and try to get. Once you've cleaned up the excess inside and outside, top and bottom, so you don't have to deal with it later with a heat gun. Then you're going to want to find as many clamps as you can and really get it squeezed together. And where the clamps are too short to reach, you can grab a piece of scrap wood, put it like that, clamp, and it'll bring it together. But if you ran out of epoxy, you can use your harvest stuff for that. Keep an eye on, because I can't, but hello again. We're squeaking in a January update here at the very end of January. So tonight, January 30th, we have Maritime Trivia at Beowulf Brewing in Amesbury. So Anne, who's behind the camera right now, is going to be hosting Maritime Trivia at the brewery. I highly recommend it. The beer is amazing. You can bring your own food. That's also a great idea. The hack is to do a little flatbread Amesbury, then a little Beowulf, and some trivia. Sounds like a great little date night, of course. Other things that are going on, we've got another session of, it's quite busy in here because our apprentice programs have just walked in from out of doors. But our junior apprentice program, we have another session starting at the end of February, and that is, session is 5 weeks. And it's one afternoon a week, and this is for the younger guys. They just went downstairs. And what this program is really for kids, 6th, 7th grade to even 5th, 6th, 7th grade to sort of get a feel for the shop, what we do here, and get a taste of it. But also have some fun. So today, maybe, yesterday, the tide was low, and I sent them out with big sticks to break ice on the river because it's just fun. And now we'll get into what's happening here at the shop. So, boats coming along. They come along slowly. They've been coming along slowly this time of year because it's so frickin' cold. And so when you have a boat like this that requires epoxy to set, and one of the real drawbacks or holdups on this boat has been the fact that the plywood you need to coat with epoxy to seal it up before you put it on. And so you'll put a coat of epoxy on that plank and it'll take 3-4 days to cure enough that you can actually sand it. So that is drawing out that process. Not so much epoxy over here. Except for the scarfs. And this boat is coming together. We've got that would be called the second plank, because the garboard is the garboard no matter what. So the second plank spiling over there. And these boats are kind of funny. Not funny, but the way the planking goes on a round-sided boat like this plank here is pretty much dead straight on most of them. And then this shear plank is actually going to be a smiley type shape, whereas the one below here is a slight frown, and the garboard is a kind of pronounced frown shape. And that's pretty much the way things go with these boats. But generally speaking, the middle plank is often quite straight. So it looks like a hot mess in here, but it's coming together. And we will put Sikaflex. So the epoxy ends on these boats here, so that's why we're not epoxy heavy right now. Above that, we will actually put Sikaflex on the lap and it's not necessary. So the lap is tight enough that it would be watertight when the boat goes in the water. The problem is when you've got people with these boats, they'll leave them in a garage or they'll leave them out of the water for several months. And then when they put them in, those planks will leak because they do dry out, so until they swell. So what that Sikaflex is really just a bit of insurance so that that doesn't happen. But it's not necessary. It does add a little bit of strength, however, too. And the real benefit on these boats, being a power boat, is up in here, because when you're going through the water over waves, that water comes up under those laps and peels off. And if the lap isn't tight, you end up getting little geysers in here. So you really want them for these boats. It's a good thing we're doing this now. We're finally cleaned up from our open house. But walking around here, these guys are getting ready. So today, you bring your steamer?
I did, sir.
Nice. Today we'll get some video, I hope, of this. We're going to get our canvas laid out and try to get it at least stapled on. We brought a little steamer today because of the way the canvas was shipped. You know, the old-fashioned way, you buy it online, just like Hiram did. The way it was shipped, you end up with a wrinkle in the middle, and I'm a little reticent to put that on there and unfold it and have this wrinkle in those creases in the middle. If we get into it and we can't get those out of it, then they'll end up in the final product, and we don't really want that. So these guys are prepping the deck. So one of the things that we had to do here is this deck is all nailed in, and these wider pieces of cedar had cupped. So we tried to set those nails in to get some of the cup out of it. And then we went along with some fairing filler to try to take some of the dents out of it so that the canvas would lay up there all nice and pretty. So that's what we're doing today. We've spent a good bit of time getting the inside here done. Still a little tacky. But the idea being that we don't want to get the canvas on the deck and then spend a bunch of time leaning over it, working on the inside of the boat. We want to get that pretty much done so that once the deck is on, we don't have to fuss over the top of that so much anymore. And then back here, I don't know if we've talked about these at all, but we do get requests quite a bit for oyster bars. And finally what I did, I had one of our former boat builders, I'll call him Mike Britton. I had him make a plug of a little mini Dory, little 6-foot Dory. And then we had a mold made, and I have these laid up in a glass shop, but these are oyster bars. These two here will be going to Island Creek Oysters down in Duxbury. But we do make these, and we make them for restaurants and that kind of thing, and we always have one on hand for our own parties. But they're great if you want to put a bunch of drinks out in the summer. You put ice in it, put drinks in it. We always put oysters on them, but a nice little serving thing. So, cute little boat for that. Coming in here, we didn't really prep for y'all. This is William working. So we moved some things around in here. One of the things is we had to get this boat off the rack. This is a pretty cool Maine lobster skiff, but I don't think it's going to see the water again. So what we're doing is we're sending this down to Bunker Hill Community College. They've just started a marine trades program. They're going to be doing teaching people outboard mechanics, things like that, and they need a boat to play with. So this was kicking around, and so we're going to send it down there and let those students play with it. And then we've got our shallop here. Is we're laying out for some sole beams inside. So this boat didn't have a sole in it. I know, just like me. Didn't have a sole in it, and it just had sort of some longitudinal pieces that were attached to the frames, but it doesn't make for a very safe environment for people to crawl around in. So we're building out a bit of a flat deck in there so that it's a little more user-friendly for the folks at Plymouth. And so William's working on those beams inside, and Molly McInnes was working on it before she had to go back to sea. And so we're going to make those out of oak and then do a cedar sole on top of that. So trying to get this out of here so I can move this back over so I can move that 12.5 out and really try to get some things done. And then we are currently out of building beds. So here we have an 11-foot skiff that is on order, waiting to be built. And then under there we have, that's the next one there, that's a 15-foot lifeguard Dory going down to Rhode Island. And we've got all the pieces for that all made. So the frames are ready, the transom's ready, the stem is ready. I'm really just waiting for a building bed to open up so we can stick it all together and start building. So that's a fairly typical way for us when you have building beds tied up. We can get all the pieces ready, just like the old days, ready to go, so that as soon as one frees up, we can stick a boat frame together and start planking it. So that's what's going on right there. So in 2 weeks, I will be headed down to the Bronx in New York to Rocking the Boat. If you're unfamiliar with that organization, it's a great one. They're in Hunts Point in the Bronx, and they teach mostly kids from the Bronx, boat building, also marine science, sailing, the whole gamut. So check them out. But this is their slow time of year, so utilizing the shop, I'm going to go down and teach 2 successive weekends. We're going to build one of these guys right there in the shop and start repopulating the world with those. So I'm also going to teach one of these classes here at the boat shop either in April or May. I'm trying to find that hole in my schedule to be able to do one of these here as well. So hoping to refine this design a little bit. There are a couple of things I want to tweak, and the classes make it great. And we're also looking at doing just a planking workshop this winter at some point, and that'll probably be like a Saturday, Sunday for 3-4 hours each day. Just taking a boat that we have and then going through just the planking process, which is maybe a little bit more palatable for some people. The other thing, we mentioned this in a previous video, but this book is now available on our website, and this is a project that I did with the Dory Heritage Project, which is a little group formed, mostly Brad Dimmock's idea, but to go around to various places like Lowell's and record their process, because as much as we work to preserve this place and preserve the tradition, it is going away in other places. And so part of that preservation and perpetuation is to go to these places and do projects like this. So this book here is The Building of a Dory up in Shelburne, Nova Scotia, with this guy, Milford Buchanan, and a project we did a year and a half ago or so, but this is the result. And it's available. This book is basically it's a history of the shop in Shelburne, and then it's a how-to build their way with plans, and it's available on our website for $24.95. So you can get it there.
And we do ship?
We do ship, yes we do. So I think shipping's $10. So. And thus ends the update for January. So we do try to bring you the shop through YouTube, and sometimes it can be hard for us to know what you want to see. So if there's something that you've seen in one of these videos or in the background of the shots and you're curious about it, we do check the comments section of our videos, so go ahead and ask us a question there, and maybe we can feature that in an upcoming video. So if you put your eye along the plank here, it's clamped in tight to the stem, and you can see at the end the plank kind of does a little swoop in and out because it's being clamped right here. So what I would do is I would get maybe a couple of screws and just hit them into the bearding line and take that off to let it take the shape, you know what I mean? But that's kind of the only, if you let it sit there in the epoxy cure, it'll keep that in it.